Hare Krishna. Tonight's talk is on abiogenesis, or the origin of life from random combination of chemicals. This is the going theory given many years ago that there was a primordial soup once the universe cooled down, probably 10 billion years after Big Bang, so about 4 billion years ago. There was some primordial soup in a lake, and certain chemicals came together, and gradually we got some type of very primitive life form, like an E. coli, a bacteria, and gradually that's called a unicellular organism. And gradually they came crawling out of this primordial soup, and voila, the whole process of evolution took place. Natural selection came along, and as the mutation of genes happened, gradually we got more and more advanced species of life. There's so much evidence in contradiction to this. So first of all, let's look at abiogenesis. Life evolved from matter. So when we look at this, we see that chemicals, first of all, are highly complicated, highly complex. The 4 building blocks of life are carbohydrates, proteins, fatty acids or lipids, and your nucleic acids. Those are the 4 building blocks that need to be properly synthesized, and then they have to be combined properly in order to form complex molecules which would be functional inside of a cell. And we know that the cell now, we've discovered that the cell is highly complicated. There's so many types of nanomachines, microtubules, various organelles. The cell is like a massive factory, and it's full of these little machines called nanomachines are going around performing tasks. We know that the macromolecules, the protein molecules, are kind of like your toolbox. In your toolbox, you have a hammer, a saw, you have a drill, and so on. So these macromolecules or nanomachines, they go around repairing, say, the mitochondria and different things. We also have the double-layered membrane of the cell, which has gates. And these gates only allow certain elements, certain materials to enter into the cell. If they're malefic, then they're not allowed to enter based on certain sensors that are produced by the cell. So all this is going on as we speak in each cell, and there you have trillions of cells in our body. So let's look at, say, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is a chemical that is highly unstable. And in the laboratory, if a student supposedly has synthesized some polypeptides, some polysaccharides in his experiments on a Friday, and he gets lazy and he goes and he isolates those carbohydrates, puts them in the fridge or something. And if he comes back on the Monday, he knows that those carbohydrates have bonded with all kinds of things in the air, and it becomes nothing but goo. Becomes garbage. It's called caramelization. So we see that these various chemicals that are supposedly developed randomly by the bumping of atoms and molecules, binding of different molecules and so on. The problem is that they're very active, they're very unstable. And so the end product you're trying to get, you have to immediately, once you synthesize it, you have to isolate it, drive the heat down or drive the heat up. So many conditions are required for these molecules to survive. So that's one problem. Now people say, oh, well, over billions of years, time, anything could have happened. Well, they've actually worked out probabilities that chemicals could give rise to a living cell. And the probabilities are terribly, terribly, terribly unlikely. Or as we might say, improbable or implausible at best. Given the amount of particles in our universe, the amount of events that could have happened in the universe, they've calculated that the amount of particles in our universe is something like 10 to the power 90. The amount of possible events that could have happened since the Big Bang is 10 to the power 116. Keep in mind that 10 to the power 10 is a billion, so 10 to the power 116 is a massive number. So working out probabilities on our supercomputers in MIT and so on, Cambridge, these places, Oxford, they find that the probabilities are, as Fred Hoyle has said, that life could have evolved from matter, is like sitting a million monkeys on a million typewriters and randomly typing out the complete works of Shakespeare within a given amount of time, like millions and millions and millions of years. So they know that the probabilities are highly unlikely, but they say, oh yes, we're just fortunate. We're living in the Goldilocks universe. So there's very, very little evidence. The scientists have no clue how life evolved from chemicals, even in their advanced laboratories. Persons like Lee Cronin from England, Jack Zolstak from Chicago, Northwest University, who has a Nobel Award, I believe, in biology. He has even demonstrated that so far it is very, very difficult to synthesize life from chemicals, a living cell from chemicals. They have other problems. They say, well, Urey and Miller in 1950s, they did an experiment and they got some amino acids. The problem is chirality, that most molecules in nature are racemic, or they have a mirror image of each other, of one sided to the other side, or mirror image. If you put your right hand in front of the mirror, you see your left hand, and they're non-superimposable. What we see is the amino acids required in functional proteins in a cell have to be handed, left-handed, right-handed, one, not stereo, not racemic. So they have this problem. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, have to be a certain handedness, not stereo as well, not racemic. So they're having all these problems trying to even synthesize the basic building blocks of life in their extremely expensive research laboratories in these various universities. So if man, with all his technology, is not able to synthesize a living cell, even a primitive one, an E. coli, from scratch, ab initio, how could early Earth, in its very primitive environment, have gotten all these different requirements together to produce the various building blocks of life, and then put them all together properly so that you can have functional systems? They have a problem with to even derive these or produce these systems within a moving living cell. Various types of systems require different machines have to be connected, different molecules have to be connected. The nucleic acids are bonded by carbohydrates. So there's a nucleic acid here and one here, AT or GC, and they give a kind of code, a kind of instruction. So those different instructions, those different letters have to be combined by a carbohydrate molecule. They have no idea how to do that. The proper sequencing and so on is another problem. They have no idea, and yet they say that, oh, we're going to produce life from chemicals within a few years. Well, the proof is in the pudding. If you can do it, show us. Let's have a taste of it. But they have not been able to do that. The blatant hypocrisy is that you can read in high school or undergraduate university courses in top universities in America, in England, different places. And they're promoting this primordial soup scenario. It's still there, even in undergraduate textbooks, sometimes even graduate textbooks. They're promoting this clear mythology of primordial soup model. It's seriously flawed. They have no way of explaining how life came about in early Earth under a rock somewhere or in some kind of a soup of chemicals, etc., etc. It's pure inference. It's pure speculation on their part. And yet this is what they're indoctrinating the young minds of the world with. Why is it? What is the motive behind this? Their motive is philosophical. They have a problem accepting the existence of antimatter or non-material, as is the soul. Consciousness, for example, evades empirical science. Reductionism, positivism are the tools of empiricism, modern science. We accept only things as real if we can reduce them down to their basic building blocks and discover them under a microscope. That is called reductionism. And positivism is that we can actually positively identify what it is under our microscopes, or very advanced microscopes. However, what is consciousness? Emotions, free will, feelings, volition, perception. These are characteristics of living creatures, living beings, human beings, that they have no idea what it is. They may put up ideas. It's a product of the neurons firing, for example. Well, if someone's in a coma, they're still alive, but the neurons aren't working, they're in a coma. So that one is being repudiated. So really, the honest scientists, for example, George Wald, Nobel Award winner, others, Charles Townes, another Nobel laureate for physics, they admit that we have no idea what is consciousness, what is life. The machines don't have intentionality. They don't have purpose. They don't have a purpose, as do molecules. Molecules are not thinking, oh, today we should come together and produce a living cell. They have no sense of objectiveness, purpose. This is our object. This is our goal. No sense of purpose or intentionality. That comes from consciousness. That's where the Bhagavad-Gītā starts. The Bhagavad-Gītā starts with the fact that the body is a biological machine made of millions and millions and trillions of cells. It has been designed by a higher intelligence, and that what animates this material body, this machine that we have, all these various species, is the eternal soul. It comes through conception, whether it's an egg or a seed, perspiration, or an embryo. This is the science of the soul, the science of the Atma. Atma means aham, I am, spiritual energy. So that's where the ancient texts of Vedas begin. The Bhagavad-Gītā starts with the fact that without a soul, the body is dead. Death means the soul leaves the body, and conception within the womb indicates that the soul has transferred itself from the male semen. It's been transferred. The egg is fertilized, and you get a zygote. And from there, there's so much variegated types of cells produced from one cell, from one zygote. Variation takes place, and gradually you get all the different types of cells and workings inside the body, and after 8-9 months comes out. So this is the idea. Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vanabhuya. That the soul is neither killed or is it born. It is eternal. At the time of death, the soul goes on based on one's behavior in this life if one complies with the instructions of the Supreme Lord in the scriptures, Vedic scriptures or other scripture, if they're following properly, then they ascend. Their higher consciousness will award them a better situation or a situation beyond birth and death. That is the goal of human life, to attain the world. If God does exist, then time is one of his creations, and therefore he is transcendent above time. He's above time, space, and all that is. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, the Song of Brahma, Brahma is the first created being, said that of all controllers, your father's father, Manus, gods, whoever, there is the Param Ishvara, supreme controller. Sachit Ananda Vigraha. His body is not like made of earth and fire and water and air and the elements, but it's made of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Sachit Ananda. It is made of spiritual energy, which is above the forces of the laws of nature. It's above, beyond, transcendent to the laws of physics, the law of time. He is the creator of time. He is time himself. So he's not subjugated by the forces of time as our bodies are. So this is a whole science. First, to understand Aham Brahman, that I am spirit, I am not matter. And then to understand there's a supreme spirit who is omniscient, omnipotent, all-pervading, etc., etc., unlimited kind of potencies or shaktis. And that is Krishna or God. So, Sarva Karana Karanam, he's the causeless cause of all causes. And he is the intelligent designer of this universe. Bill Gates himself has admitted that the DNA that was discovered by Watson and Crick, and it acts like a computer coding, the digital system, a kind of coding system, is far more sophisticated and advanced than the systems developed by human beings called the binary coding system. The DNA, ATGC, the nucleic acids carry a kind of information content which instructs and expresses a certain instruction which is transferred through the cell to build, to repair, etc., etc. And so this is high-tech type of programming. So we ask, who is the code writer? Comes from a mind. We know that code always comes from an intelligence, a brain, a designer. Someone has to write code. So this is where the proponents of origin of life from matter are stumped, totally stumped. They have so many different blockades that they have to overcome, so many overwhelming blockades. So why not take a leap of faith and read the Bhagavad-Gītā by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. His Bhagavad-Gītā is distributed in over 100 languages throughout the world. It is called Bhagavad-Gītā As It Is by Bhaktivedanta Swami, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder of the Hare Krishna movement, also known as ISKCON. This book has impacted the lives of millions of people from all walks of life, all creeds, all races, all whatever, all everything. It has impacted people's lives and changed them towards enlightenment. So the goal of human life, atato brahma jigyasa, is to understand what I am. I am not the material body. Every day the body is just moving towards the ultimate end, death, and life is short. So the business of a human being is to inquire into who I am and what my purpose in life is. Not to only inquire like the birds and beasts where is food, where is sleeping, where is mating, and where is defending. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maitunya. The four animal propensities are there in the animal kingdom, but they cannot be philosophers. They don't ask philosophical questions. That is restricted to the human brain. So this is a gift from nature for us to avoid wasting our time simply pursuing material pleasure, which is always accompanied with temporality and distress, and to understand, come to the transcendental understanding that I am an eternal being, servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the Supreme Being, Sri Krishna, who is our constant companion within our heart. Sarvasya chaham hridishani vishto, he says, I'm in everyone's heart. And I give you knowledge by which you can come to me. Tesham ivanu kampartam aham agyana jam tamaha. Nashamatmi atma bhavasto jnana deepena. I give you the light from within, how you can understand me. The foolish materialists, the mundane speculators, they can never, Name Prakasha, they can never understand the nature of the self, the soul, and the nature of God. They're restricted by their obstinacy to even reconsider or consider that there is something much greater than them, someone much greater than them. An intelligent designer who has designed every part of our universe, all the different species of life. That they refuse to do. That is called atheism or asuri bhavam, atheistic or demonic mentality. Unfortunately, the entire world today is overrun and overcome by these atheistic, demoniac ideas and philosophies. Do away with God, God is dead, who needs God, we're God. And so we see that in this age, this modern age, so many pathologies, the pathology of war, the pathology of crime, the pathology of so many diseases caused by industrialization, like cancer, heart disease. So many problems are there. Or dosha. Dosha means miseries. And we live in what is called the age of Kali, age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So we encourage everyone to acquire a Bhagavad-Gītā by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami and read it and come and associate with the Hare Krishna devotees wherever you live, wherever you are. Come to visit our centers and learn this process of Bhakti Yoga, the science of self-realization. So thank you very much, and Hare Krishna.